Oh, good lord. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cake Eaters Avalanche podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down quite the game between the Colorado Avalanche and the New York Islanders. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. The Avs win 1-0 over the Islanders. Probably could have been 5-6, even, around that ballpark amount of goals for the Avs. They don't score any until the shootout, and neither do the Islanders. So the Islanders don't score at all. So, uh, I mean, this is just one of those games where you're like, it's frustrating because I can't say I don't know. I want to toot my own horn a little bit here because I did kind of call this to a T, low scoring affair. This was not the game the Avs were going to break through against finishing. Ilya Sorokin is too good of a goaltender for the Avs to really have fixed their problems against him unless he had a really off night, which he in fact did not. So, pretty. I don't know. I can't this game didn't really surprise me at all. So let's just. The recap. There's just not going to be much. There's only one goal in the entire game, even just counting the shootout. The cake is a German chocolate. Don't know why. It was just one of the ones. So, yeah, I'll just grab a bite of it really quick. Solid stuff. Pretty good. All right. So, hold on. I'm chewing. The first period wasn't a bad period, wasn't a great period. So that one was the most even period of the game. The Avs did get outshot, but high danger chances were 9-5, which is something I pointed out after. They started out pretty slow. The Islanders had a good grip of possession, and I thought that was mostly due to the Avs kind of struggling with the puck. They weren't getting enough offensive zone pressure, the possession, and they weren't cycling I didn't think they were breaking the puck out well from their own zone. So, yeah, that just compounded. But luckily, Georgiev stood tall. And then as the period continued, the Avs got more and more quality and really started to find their groove. They took one penalty, Curtis McDermott. Now, I know people have come to expect me as, the complaint about the refs guy. I actually didn't think the refs were bad tonight. I just don't understand that call. Just because you don't see that call very often. So rarely do refs call an interference penalty on a guy finishing a hit. It wasn't egregiously after. Usually when they do that, it's for a different, it's for like a charge or an elbow or a board or something. That felt like a big guy penalty to me, which isn't something they should be calling in the NHL. I thought it was silly. It's not, I think even as a coach, you're not probably upset about that just because it's a good hard penalty. It's not lazy. It's a bit silly. But the Avs did a great job killing that one off. And then Cale Makar declines a penalty. Like he's Bill Belichick or something. I need to like after the podcast, that there's that meme of Bill Belichick declining a penalty. I'm gonna Photoshop Cale Makar's face onto that. And yeah. So originally I was like, that's a penalty. What's happening? Why aren't you calling it? And then I'm, in arena and, there's only so many things I could focus on. And so I was like, so what I see on the screen is Barzal has his stick and he turns it over and he's tugging kind of him on the shoulder. But what really happened was he just lost his footing. And Cale Makar was honest about that. He said in his post game that he will never do that again, which I don't think is the worst idea. Just because it's not his job. Like, look, if the ref makes a bad call, sorry, that's not his fault. Like, He wasn't selling it. And like I know there's like Rangers fans were like, "Oh, Cale Makar dives." It's like he doesn't dive. Divers don't like admit to not having a penalty happen. Um, so I don't know. I think that's just silly. Um, I think that should dispel that notion for a little bit. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a fine period for the Avs. Started off a little slow. They didn't start off awful. It's like I think it's like a C level start. You're not really upset about it. You're not really like thrilled about it. It is what it is. You get out of the period 0-0, and then pretty soon into the second, they get two power plays of their own. Great power plays, great opportunities, but they can't find the net. Lehkonen hit the crossbar on one of them on a great shot, and there were some great rebound opportunities for him and Nichushkin that they couldn't quite bury. So that was definitely unfortunate to say the least. And those were the only power plays of the game, those three. So special teams was kind of null and void. I thought this period was a better period for the Avs. They definitely controlled more of it and they were more dangerous. I mean, high danger chances were 10-3. And they were shooting the puck pretty well, but it wasn't, the third period was really where it felt like, I don't know. I wouldn't say gradually because it was like, okay, the first period was all right. Second period was also all right. And the third period was just absolute shit kicking. And I was like, oh, because I didn't expect that. I expected it to be like the Islanders were going to push back a lot harder than they ended up. So that the way that third period went was kind of surprising to me. The Avs had some great opportunities. Also in the second period, Ben Myers had a tip. Well, I'll get into that in a little bit. And then in the third period, Nuke just absolutely smokes a post. It was so weird because you couldn't even hear the post. That and the Lehkonen one, I was like, what the hell happened? Because you didn't hear the post, but what the hell else could it have hit? Really unlucky. The Avs were just cycling the puck a lot. It felt like during the last 5 minutes they got tired or something because they were making some not good puck choices. They weren't awful. It's just they were getting a little bit, sloppy. They were forcing stuff. They didn't want to go to overtime, is what it felt like. But they ended up going to overtime. Super, like it's one of the more boring overtimes they'll probably have played this year. Just not a lot happening. I think Cale's was a nice chance. I didn't think he put a great shot at, and I thought he got defended well against. The real big moment of the overtime to me was JT Compher absolutely soaring one. I had someone come into my mentions and be like, well, clearly you've never shot like a puck on edge before. And I'm like, well, first of all, I have, and I'm not saying I haven't done that, but I'm also not getting paid $4 million a year to play hockey. Um, I don't think JT played bad, but that was not a good moment for him because look, as an NHL player, there's just really no, like, I understand the puck's on its edge, but he settles it. You just have to curl your wrists over and it makes life so much easier. But what he does is he leans too far, his wrists come up and he skies it. So it doesn't work. And the Avs go to a shootout where Alexandar Georgiev just continues to shut the door. Barzal and God, it was this completely he scored the other day against Vegas. He scored his first NHL goal. Let me see here. Holmstrom. He made fairly identical pad saves on him. They tried to cut. I think Holmstrom was actually on his forehand and Barzal was on his backhand. And he stopped him with his left pad. And then Beauvillier cut in and he stuck his stick out and caused him to lose it. And then obviously Erod does his Erod move. I really wish Erod being gone for that New York Rangers game is probably one of the more annoying ones because I think if he's in that, I can't say the Avs win, but I definitely know they go further past Panarin. Like I have some doubts that Panarin and gets the shootout winner in that one, just because that move is so good. As a goalie, you have to respect it because he goes to his backhand, he flips his wrist over like he's going to shoot it. And then he just cuts back and like at that point, you're either trying to make a big pad save, but you're so far gone that even if you get your pad across, he could just lift it over. And if you don't respect it, he'll just tuck it backhand. So it's a great move. It works again, and the Avs end up getting the W. See this one, there's just not a lot to talk about in this one, just because the Avs were so dominant in this game. There's not really like a lot of things that I could say they did wrong. Like I said, their start was a little bit slow, but Georgiev held them in, and that's why he paid a goaltender. The last few minutes of the third period were amazing, but they weren't giving up chances or anything. They just made, it harder on themselves to get a goal. Really, it's just finishing. And I think this is the game that they had most this year, where it was less, okay, they're not finishing, and more, okay, some things out of their control are going their way, but there are still instances where they need to finish. Ben Meyers had a great opportunity that he didn't quite make good contact on in the first period, and a pass from Cale Makar. Talked about that JT one. Nuke smoking the post is a bit unlucky, but he had enough net that he's a good enough goal scorer that he probably should have scored that. There are a few other ones. I think, Cale might want to put some better shots on net on some of them. I think the Avs didn't, screw themselves, but they also didn't make life easy on themselves, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a bad game at all, especially with this lineup. The Islanders have had a pretty good start to the year. So it is what it is. Just looking at some of the things that were happening around the league. It was just, I don't know, it was just a good game. They were putting shots on. They never let up. This is a game where I was really impressed because, I've seen times this year where they have like a good power play where they're putting up pressure and then they just kind of sit back a little bit too far and let the other team back in it. I didn't feel like they did that. They had those two good power plays were really the starting point for what would continue to be domination for the Avs, because they had those two power plays where they kicked ass and they just rode that wave and they just kept going. And they weren't getting too frustrated when Sorokin was stopping them. That is something that I do think the Avs have actually been pretty good at for a long time. They don't usually get frustrated, at when they're getting goalie. They get frustrated sometimes when they, like Mikko bobbles some pucks. He gets frustrated at himself. Mac gets, harassed and there's no penalty. He gets mad, but, obviously Mad Mac is a bit of a different thing. So, I think they did credit to them. They showed some real, this is something that has been the most encouraging about this injury thing. They never give up. They never, they have that championship mindset. So I think that's really important for this team without two of its biggest leaders to continue to have. That's what gets you, that's what will get them through. And winning a game against one of the stronger teams they're going to end up playing is also big. So let me just, I know I keep doing this. I keep having to pull up the schedule here. So they play the Islanders, then they play Montreal, Nashville, Arizona, LA, and Toronto the rest of this month. All four of those other teams are technically worse than the Avs, except for the Leafs. The Kings are 3 points ahead of the Avs, but they played 4 more games, so it's a little bit different there. But I'm not expecting them to win all of those games. All of those teams have strengths, and the Avs are still have some pretty big injuries, but winning games like these this is big, because then maybe you go on a bit of a run. Maybe you beat a Montreal, a Nashville, and then a Arizona. Those are your next 3 games. And Montreal and Arizona are towards the bottom of the league, and Nashville, you just beat them, and they've been struggling too. So hopefully, I would hope that they get 2 of those wins. Games in Nashville are always weird, so maybe if you drop that one or even the Arizona one, not both though, one of those 2, because the Arizona one's after a break. Their first time playing in Mullet, maybe it's a bit weird for them. We'll see. I don't really want them to lose to Montreal, although Montreal, they have some dudes. So, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, this game, I'll get back to more individual moments that I like from this game and players. So, I mean, really, it was like everybody I was impressed with for the most part. I mean, I thought the 2 guys who were haven't played well kind of in a while. I thought McDermott and Cale were pretty good. They had that one shift where they were both just smashing dudes against the boards. That was great. Their ice time got cut a bit on the close game, which especially with Cale annoys me. There was some talk about Hunt was supposed to be a physical presence for this team, and at least this was a difference between what him and McDermott brought. McDermott brings a lot of he no matter what, whenever he's on forward, he's going to go after and hit guys, and that was the case every shift he was on the ice. You saw Curtis McDermott on the ice. These weren't shifts that Brad Hunt had or that Dryden Hunt had, which I might talk about the trade in a little bit, but I have some thoughts about that. I thought they both played really well. Cale, I noticed, had a little bit more confidence. He was shooting the puck a little bit more. I'd like to see him get some more minutes, but we'll see. I'm still, if Andrew Cogliano is healthy, he took I don't know if he got pushed or if he slipped, but it looked like he went hard into the boards and he was holding his shoulder. To me, that looks like a collarbone thing. But we'll see. Hopefully it's not that bad. That is not something the Avs can afford right now. But if Cogliano is healthy or not, I'd like to see Cale in that role, and I'd like to see Cogliano move back into a more of a 4th line role. Just because I think it fits those 2 a little bit better. And I'd like to just see Cale get more minutes because he continues to just be good in his time up again as an Av. Curtis McDermott, besides the hitting, he made that a really nice. He really likes the wraparounds. He had a really nice play in the first where he wrapped a puck and was trying to stuff that rebound past. Couldn't quite get it, obviously. So I thought Cale Makar and Devon Toews were spectacular defensively tonight. I thought they both had some really nice flashes offensively. I think Cale just he needs to just I don't know. I don't know what it is with him shooting the puck. It's just not quite as dangerous anymore. But it's not it's not hitting chests and pads and everything. It's nothing like. It's just not the Cale Makar we're used to, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's still better than 90% of NHL defensemen. So I thought the first line was pretty good. Lehkonen was fighting the puck a little bit tonight, but I think he made up for it in other facets. I could kind of tell that he was just kind of frustrated because he hit that crossbar on the power play, and he was like, "Nope, getting off the ice." And the rest of the power play unit stayed out there. He's like, "Nope, this is just nope. I'll let someone out who can actually score a goal tonight because tonight is not my night." Evan Rodrigues and Alex Newhook, they're a great duo still. Evan Rodrigues, I don't know what it is, but dude's got some spunk now. He's just been spinning on dudes all over the place. Obviously, I didn't do a podcast for the Nashville game, but they connected for a goal then, and that was pretty nice. I thought they played really well then, too. Rodrigues had that spinorama backhand that would have been the sickest thing ever, but unfortunately, he didn't score. So that was a little disappointing, but he's feeling himself lately. Those two just have great chemistry. The only thing that I worry about with Rodrigues is that he had a hot start first half to last year. I hope he just can continue this. Maybe playing with a consistent player like Newhook with some skill will keep him in a, will keep him going. That'll help. I thought Sam Girard had a great game tonight. He was getting shots on net. I thought Eric Johnson also had a pretty solid game. He was making some questionable choices at the end of the game, but I wasn't too worried about it. I really like Nichushkin tonight. Eventually, he'll probably score. Him and Ben Myers are probably cursed. They're both playing such good hockey, and they're getting these great opportunities. They're just not scoring, unfortunately. Ben Myers had an incredible tip on an Alex Newhook shot in the second period, and it hit the post. Ben Myers, since in his most recent call-up, is playing like I think at least me, myself, and others potentially had hoped he would. He's playing like a 3C. He's not, he's playing against quality talent, and he's doing good. He's making good defensive plays. He's making smart plays with the puck. He's, it's not like, an absolute horse offensively, but he's creating offensive chances, especially when he's playing with Logan O'Connor and Andrew Cogliano. That's a big thing. Focus. No, get more blurry. Thank you, camera. Come on. Thank you. He needs to keep this up, and if he does, he'll absolutely stick into the playoffs. Because he has the tools. It seems like he's kind of finding it and getting some confidence. And if he can even play with like I said, maybe a Martin Kaut will help even get a little bit more of that offense unleashed. Just because I love Andrew Cogliano. He's just not, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, the offense. This is the guy you want, for offensive production. I really liked Brad Hunt. The weirdest thing tonight was that Jacob McDonald played 1:36 for some reason. Why? Why not just play him as a defenseman then and try and cut back? I don't know. I mean, Brad Hunt and Anders Englund barely played anyways. So I don't know. I've really liked Brad Hunt since he's been up. Personally, I don't know. I liked Anders Englund. This is what I said when I made that Ryan Graves comp with him. Just the puck skill is just not there. But I really like him on defense. He's big. He's physical. He knows what to do. He's not the slowest guy in the world. He's not, fast by any means. Sorry, I just saw something that was incredibly confusing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just a great game from everybody. Hopefully they, like I said, they're playing, these teams aren't the greatest goaltending wise. But we'll see. I mean, this is the thing. Every time, every goaltender, I'm never going to be like, oh, the Avs are going to score a bunch of goals, because goalies just show up. Any goalie can just show out and kick some ass. Hopefully the Avs will start to get some games coming up where they get 4 goals or more. We're getting nearer and nearer to Nathan McKinnon coming back. I really want Bowen Byram to come back, dude. I don't know what is going on with that guy. The team needs him soon. They need some of that breakout potential. They need some of that offense from the back end. Any offense they can get, they'll take. I think Brad Hunt is a solid, it's not like Jack Johnson where he's just a black hole of offense, but, he's no slouch. He gets shots through. He's a quick little guy. He's got an absolute fucking rocket of a shot, I will say. For a guy that small, I wish I could give Sam Girard Brad Hunt's shot. And dude, Sam Girard would be so much better. That's his biggest downfall as a player, is his shot. It's just not good enough. I think from now on in practice, all he should do is just shoot and just lift weights. Just get some power behind that thing. But he still had some good looks tonight. I mean, I don't have a lot to say. I thought Georgiev looked amazing. He looked locked in. He was making great saves. He kept the Avs in at the beginning when it was a little tough. I mean, just look at the raw stats. I mean, 2.24 on 26 shots is pretty, yeah, it's what you'd expect. So pretty solid work from him. Yes, had 5.09 expected goals. Good God. Ilya Sorokin is just, he really is like the only thing keeping the Islanders good this year. Like the Islanders are a team that I've always like kind of watched in the East. And, you know, they have this kind of, I don't know, at least in the casual hockey community, they have this kind of branding as like a, you know, they just slow things down. No, they don't even do that. They just have their goalies just do all the work for them. Him and Varlamov. Like he hasn't won any of his past 5 games, and his goals, like goals against average of like 3, isn't incredible. It's not good, but it should get you 1 win. Like that's not like horrible goaltending. Your team should be able to get at least a 1 win there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just not a lot for me to say about this game. The Avs kicked ass. They couldn't finish. That's something that needs to change. I think their defense has been something that isn't talked about, that is just continuing to improve, which is big, especially when you have these guys out, and will hopefully only get better once Manson and Byram come back. Yeah. So let me do my 3 stars. I don't really have a disappointing player. So yeah, whatever. Um, um, Let me think here. So, 3rd star, this one's hard, but one player that I really liked that didn't obviously, you know, score or anything. I think Val Nichushkin probably had the best chances, and obviously he's Val Nichushkin, so pretty much every game he's going to have a really good impact defensively and on the forecheck, which he did, and he almost scored a lot of goals, but he didn't. So I'll give him that credit. Like I said, honorable mention to the top pairing and Ben Myers. I thought they all looked good tonight. 2nd star I'm going to give to Erod. You know, I think he played really well, but 1 shootout goal isn't better than a shutout. Especially when you don't even let a goal in the shootout. So big ups to Alexandar Georgiev. I don't know, you know, the Avs kind of have that, you know, magic touch on shootouts. I think I wish they would win some games in overtime a little bit more than having to take them to a shootout, because, you know, that's important when it comes to the tiebreakers. They haven't won a game in overtime at home this year. Granted, they only lost 1 game in overtime this year. At home, and then they lost the shootout to the Rangers, and then they won this shootout. So the only logical next step is for them to win in overtime. There you go. A weird stat: the Avs split the season series with all 3 New York teams. Technically, the Islanders won the season series, but whatever. You know, that I don't know. Pity point. I think to me it's just wins and losses. You know, and especially given the circumstances for the Evs, you know, whatever. So that was interesting. They're now done with all 3 teams from New York for the rest of the year, so that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot to talk about. Hopefully they, you know, maybe they can get their first win streak in a while against the Canadiens. That would be pretty big. Ride some momentum into the holiday break. Yeah, right. Let me talk about the Dennis Mulligan Dryden Hunt trade. I don't know a lot about Dennis Mulligan. I know he's a little bit faster than Dryden Hunt. I think there's been talks about a little bit more of a skill upside with him, which analytically I think it kind of evens out, because I think he's got a little bit more of a skill upside, but I don't think he's quite as has good defensive underlying numbers. But I mean, it's a fine trade. I think the Avs will likely end up winning it, but I don't like the trading of Dryden Hunt. I think people gave him a bad rap. Like he played good when he played with NHLers, but the problem is this last few weeks, for some reason, his minutes got cut massively, and he always ended up playing with AHL guys, and it's like he's just not a guy who's going to drive a lot for you. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a massive thing they're missing out on, but I think it's I would have liked to see them wait a little bit more, but whatever. It's not a huge deal. I mean, it's good business for the Avs. You get a waiver claim guy that you got for free, and then you're trading him for an asset. It's good business. We'll see how it works out. I know some Toronto fans were like, "Wow, this is you didn't get very much out of Malgin." I'm like, I don't know what you think you're going to get out of Dryden Hunt, but okay. Like, I don't know. That the one thing that does concern me with Malgin is the fact that he was playing with Nylander and Tavares, and he only managed 4 points, but I don't know how long he played with them. So, and how often he actually played with them. But we'll see. Yeah. So 2 more games this week, and then the holidays. Yeah, let's get a little bit of a 3-day break. We'll see how injury progresses. We'll see how Cogliano is. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. And Georgiev owns the state of New York. I guess so does Evan Rodrigues too. So they'll make their. I'll expect their the proofs for their Statue of Liberty editions soon. So see you, everybody. Have a good one.